What's up everybody, Jack here from Half Chrome, and these are the new Transporter 2 goggles system. Yeah, it comes off. It's an awesome little deal from Emax, and I'm a big fan of these. In fact, I think the original Transporter 2s, the non-HD version, these are absolutely the best beginner goggles you can get if you're trying to get into FPV. Now these are special because they're HDZero, that's right, yeah. They're HDZero FPV goggles that work as an FPV monitor as well. Stay tuned, I'm going to tell you a little bit more about this awesome setup. Now, if you're new to FPV, there are a handful of different ways that you can fly, or more specifically, that you can view your video. There's the old traditional analog, which doesn't look very good, and now there are some digital options. And one of those options, and probably my favorite, is HDZero. So an HDZero setup allows you to view HD video versus a crummy looking analog. In order to do that, you're going to need special equipment. Now that equipment is going to be more expensive, but it's going to produce a much better user experience. So until now, I've been flying this setup, and while it looks cool and is definitely a chick magnet, it's pretty expensive. The goggles themselves, you know, they're $400 plus that module's another $2 and a quarter, plus the antennas. I mean, this setup, not cheap. This setup definitely a little bit more affordable. Emax has this Transporter 2 system that's only going to cost you $240. Still not cheap, but definitely less expensive. To be fair, I'm not actually a big fan of box goggles. Now, as far as box goggles go, these are fine. They telescope in and out, so if you need to kind of adjust, you know, the focal point, you can do that. There we go, look at that, right? So it does kind of get bigger or smaller, so if you feel like, oh, it's just too close, you can kind of adjust it. But I don't think the magic here is actually this as a goggle, but rather when you detach it and you have a monitor, right? You kind of have multiple options. Not everybody feels comfortable inside of the goggles. Sometimes it makes people nauseous. Some people just like to be able to see their environment around them a little bit better. And this as a monitor allows you to do that. On the bottom here, we've got a $1/4 so you can actually mount this to, say, a ground station or a tripod, or even your controller. There's a mount for Emax's E8 remote. I've done that before in the past, and actually I've seen people mount monitors to their Radiomaster TX16s and things like that, so absolutely doable. Typically what I do is I'll just grab a tripod and throw it on there. Simple enough, I just throw it on there. Little twisteroo, and now I can kind of just set it down and manipulate it how I want. So kind of nice, and then I just kind of fly that way. Now I don't think there are a whole lot of monitor options out there, and so far this one's pretty darn good. So I'm going to tell you a little bit more about this thing. First of all, it does have a built-in DVR over here. That's my SD card slot. They recommend something between 8 and 32 gigs, C10 or better. So right here on the back, we've got a power button. Hold it down. You can hear it power up. There we go. We've got some selecting arrows here on the side and our OK button. It's pretty simple and easy to use. HDZero, when you power it on, pretty much is going to find the right signal every time. You can manually select if you need to. We do also have a port here to do updates and things like that. And on the other side, we have a USB-C port. Now this is to charge, but you can also use it as an external battery. Now this HDZero system consumes a ton of energy. So on a full battery, you get about an hour's worth of time. But if you need to extend that, just plug this into a power bank or something like that, and you can fly a whole lot longer. These are linear 3 dB antennas, and you could certainly upgrade. I think that's the one place that I would look to upgrade this system, is buy a couple of really nice antennas to help with your range. If you're looking for some options, I've got some in the video description down below. Now, like I said, I really do like flying HDZero. I think it is the best HD system out there. We're going to take a look at some video coming out of an HDZero quad. In fact, This is the one I'm flying outdoors. This is the Apex Hawk, also by Emax. Has a beautiful HD camera. This is the 3.5-inch version. They make a 5-inch, but I kind of prefer the smaller drones. They're not quite as noisy, a little less conspicuous, and I think they're still a whole lot of fun. I also find the smaller, lighter drones, when I crash, they tend not to break quite as easily, so that's kind of a bonus if you ask me. Okay, so I'm recording on both an analog and a digital HDZero camera at the same time, so you can kind of see the difference between the two. Now, neither of them are going to be as nice as my actual camera, but there's a big difference when you go from analog to digital. I love the picture coming out of HDZero. It is much crisper. There's a whole lot more detail. It just looks richer and better. Now, is it perfect? Absolutely not. I'm getting a little bit of breakup in my analog signal right now, and I think that's because those two quads are so close to each other. Now, they're both running 25 milliwatts, and they are on different channels. One's on raceband 3, the other's on raceband 8, but you're always going to have a little bit of bleed over. It just does seem that the HDZero does a little bit better. I'm going to zoom in a little bit so you can kind of pick out some of the details coming out of these things, but it is clear HDZero absolutely superior to analog in terms of quality. But it's a lot more expensive, so you kind of have to keep that in mind. Okay, so this is my buddy Josh flying the Apex using the Transporter 2 HDZero Goggle system. Now, it's being recorded using their DVR, so what you're seeing is what you're going to get with this system. Now, I talked to Josh about wearing the goggles, and he found them to be kind of uncomfortable. Honestly, so did I. I'm not a big fan of box goggles in general. I find them uncomfortable, but this one, I kind of found the nose piece just a little bit hard. There's absolutely light leakage there. I think maybe it would be nice to have maybe an aftermarket foam piece that might be helpful. I think that this is a really good option if you do like box goggles, and maybe if you have to wear like glasses or something, this might be an option for you. Now, you can kind of see here we're transitioning to some lower light situations, and I think that's where you're going to see even better improvements over analog. The analog just certainly cannot handle most analog cameras, most analog goggles. You're just going to lose so much detail as the light kind of diminishes, and I think that's where HDZero does a really nice job. It is absolutely a better picture than the best analog system. There's no doubting that. You get better clarity, you get better detail, you get better, more vibrant colors, but it's also not going to be on par with some of those DJI or Fat Shark HD systems. Those look better, but they also have like a variable latency. One of the things that I really like about HDZero is the consistency in the latency. Now, here's a little night flight. I really like this system at night. Now, I don't recommend that you fly at night. You have to know what you're doing. You need a special set of lights. There are some spalations that you have to cover in order to fly at night, but I could never do this with an analog system. You don't get the clarity that you would here. So let's talk about pros and cons of this system. Pros, right? You get HDZero, it's not going to cost you an arm and a leg. You got a DVR, and it's kind of a convertible system. You can use it as a monitor. Cons, it's a giant box goggle. Not everybody likes that. And, there are other HD systems out there. So you kind of have to weigh that. I like HDZero because it's smaller, it's lighter, you have that fixed latency. This works well with my whoops and things like that. Yeah, you're not going to see everything, not at night. That happens. Now, if you're thinking, I feel like I've seen these goggles before, they're not new. Well, these goggles are in fact new, right? The HDZero version. But Emax has been putting out Transporter 2 goggles before. They came with their Easy Pilot Pro as well as their Tiny Hawk 2 kits. I love these kits. I think they're great for beginners. And I think this goggle setup is absolutely the way to go. Now, I did upgrade the antennas on this kit. This is actually for my nephew so that he can fly FPV. So hopefully he's not watching this because that's coming to him for Christmas. I love either one of these kits. If you want to fly HD, HDZero this is the way to go, unless you have, say, I don't know, $600, $700, $800 laying around for a really nice set of goggles. I mean, that's up to you, but a really good kit, and I love having a second monitor. This is great for bench work. I actually find working on the bench with my HDZero really difficult because I'm looking inside these screens. I'm setting this down, I'm trying to peer in, and it's just not really easy to do. Having this monitor is going to be a game changer for stuff like that as well. Plus, I can give this to my son or my daughter if they're watching me fly. Or, you know, before I only have one nice HDZero thing that I can fly with, and I need it to fly so no one else gets to see what I'm doing. So now I can hand this off and people can watch what I'm doing, and that's a whole lot of fun. Eventually, this one's going to my son so that he can fly HDZero while I'm flying HDZero. Flying FPV with a friend just makes it a whole lot more fun. So go out there and fly with someone else. If you found this content helpful, we'd love for you to consider subscribing or at least give us a thumbs up. And if you're looking to purchase any of these products, we've got links down below. They're affiliate links. They do help support the channel. They don't cost you a thing. Good luck, everyone, and happy flying.